The moment my wife lowered herself into her seat, one hand braced on her belly, breathing through that familiar airplane tightness, a woman in a sharp blazer leaned across the aisle and smiled like she'd already won. "You're going to switch with me," she said, tapping my wife's armrest. "I need legroom." I laughed once, assuming it was a joke. She didn't laugh back, and that's when it hit me. She wasn't asking, she was claiming. We were flying out for my sister's wedding, one of those trips you convince yourself will be simple if you plan carefully. We'd paid extra for 2 aisle seats near the front. Nothing fancy, just enough space so my pregnant wife, Lena, wouldn't have to climb over strangers every 30 minutes. She was 7 months along. Her ankles were already swollen, and the doctor warned us about sitting too long. So I did what I thought was the responsible husband move and booked seats we could actually endure. Boarding was chaos. Rollers scraping, knees knocking, people hunting overhead space like it was the last lifeboat. Lena moved slowly, one hand gripping my forearm, the other supporting her bump. I settled her first, shoved our bags overhead, and when I turned back, the woman was already there. She looked like she'd stepped straight out of a corporate headshot. Perfect hair, sharp nails, perfume that arrived before she did. Late 40s, maybe. Impeccable posture. She stood in the aisle like it belonged to her. "I'm in 14C, she announced, holding out her phone like a badge. "You're in my seat." I checked our boarding passes. We were 6C and 6D, front section. Her pass clearly said 14. "You're back there," I said, pointing toward the rear. She blinked slowly, like I'd spoken a language she didn't respect. "Yes, unfortunately, they put me in a terrible spot. But you two are young. You can manage." Lena gave that polite smile she saves for strangers who are being odd. "I'm pregnant," she said gently, like that explained everything that needed explaining. The woman's eyes flicked to Lena's belly for a half second, then back up, cold and dismissive. "Exactly. You'll want to move around anyway, so take my seat. I need this row for legroom. I have a condition." I waited for the punchline. None came. "I'm sorry," I said, keeping my voice even. "We paid for these seats. Lena needs to be close to the front in case she needs the restroom." She cut me off with a small laugh, the kind reserved for people she thought were beneath her. "Oh, please. The restroom is on the plane. You'll survive. I'm not asking. I'm telling you what's going to happen." Then she leaned closer to Lena, lowering her voice like she was doing us a favor. "Sweetheart, if you care about your baby, you'll stop making a scene and just move." My chest burned. Lena's smile vanished, her fingers tightening around the armrest. "A scene?" I repeated. That's when the first twist came. She waved down a passing flight attendant like she'd practiced it. "Excuse me," she called, snapping her fingers at a young attendant juggling a stack of safety cards. "These passengers are refusing to switch seats. I have a medical need for legroom." The attendant's face went professional, polite, neutral, trained. She checked the woman's pass, then ours. "Ma'am, you're assigned to 14C, she said carefully. "Yes, and it's unacceptable." "I paid for my ticket too," she said. "My knees can't handle being cramped." I almost replied, "You're standing in the aisle just fine." But Lena touched my sleeve, a quiet signal. Don't escalate. So I swallowed it. The attendant nodded once. "Let me see what I can do," she said, trying to diffuse things. "But these seats are assigned." The woman's smile spread wider, like she just heard the exact words she wanted. "Thank you, because they're being very difficult." Difficult? We were sitting in our seats, existing, breathing. The attendant stepped away to check a tablet. The woman didn't move. She stayed planted beside Lena's shoulder, her suitcase angled into the aisle like a barricade. Passengers began stacking up behind her, craning their necks, irritation growing. "Ma'am," a man behind her said, "can you move so we can get through?" She didn't even glance back. "This'll only take a second." she said, as if she owned everyone's time. Lena shifted uncomfortably, trying to create space between her belly and the suitcase. The woman noticed and clicked her tongue. "You know what?" she said, lowering her voice again. "I'm actually trying to help you. If you stay up here, the air pressure is worse. It's safer for you further back." I stared at her. "That's not a thing." She tilted her head, wearing fake sympathy. "It is when you understand aviation." That's when it clicked. She wasn't just entitled. She was dangerous, the kind of person who lies confidently and expects the world to bend around the lie. The attendant returned, still calm, but firmer now. "Ma'am, we can't force other passengers to switch seats. Please go to your assigned seat so we can finish boarding." The woman's jaw tightened. "So you're refusing to accommodate a medical condition? Interesting. I'll be recording this." She pulled out her phone, and the second twist hit. She started filming right there, camera pointed straight at Lena. "Say it again," she coaxed the attendant, voice dripping sweet. "Say you don't care if I'm in pain." Lena's eyes widened. Her breathing went shallow, the way it does when anxiety crashes in. She hates being filmed, hates attention. I watched the stress roll over her, draining the color from her face. "Stop recording my wife," I said, stepping between the phone and Lena. The woman's smile vanished. "Don't touch me," she snapped, loud enough that nearby rows turned to stare. "He's threatening me." Threatening? All I'd done was stand up. The plane felt smaller, hotter. Every second stretched. The aisle behind her clogged with passengers. A baby started crying somewhere. Someone muttered, "Oh my God." And then, like she'd been waiting for her audience, she raised her voice even higher. "I can't believe you'd deny a woman with a disability, especially with your wife pregnant. Shameful. What kind of man are you?" I heard a gasp. Someone else whispered, "Just switch, dude." For a split second, I felt it. The pressure, the social squeeze from strangers who'd only seen the last 10 seconds, not the whole thing. Lena looked up at me with that same gentle plea. "Please don't let this ruin the trip." I opened my mouth to calm, factual, measured. That was when a deeper voice cut through the noise from the front of the plane. "Is there a problem back there?" Heads turned. The cockpit door cracked open just enough for a uniformed figure to step out, and the woman in the blazer straightened instantly, like a soldier spotting her commanding officer, already preparing to deliver her version of events. I used to think the hardest part of flying with a 7-month pregnant wife would be turbulence. I was wrong. The real turbulence wore designer sunglasses and decided my wife's seat belonged to her, and she said it like it was airline policy. My wife, Lena, has this brave smile she uses when her back hurts, but she refuses to complain. We booked these seats weeks ago, aisle for her, middle for me, so she could stand whenever the baby started karate kicking her ribs. I carried her water, her snacks, the little pillow the doctor swore by. We boarded late because Lena needed one more bathroom stop, and I already felt eyes on us. Then the woman appeared in the aisle like a perfumed roadblock. "Excuse me," she said, tapping my shoulder with a manicured nail. "You need to switch with me. I need the legroom." Not "can we," and not "would you mind," need, like I was withholding something promised to her. I blinked. "We actually chose these seats because my wife's pregnant." Lena's hand went to her belly automatically. The woman's gaze followed it, like she was reading a label. "Congratulations," she said, flat as a receipt. "But I paid for my ticket, too. My knees are bad. I can't sit back there." She pointed down the cabin like the middle rows were exile. Here's the part that shocked me. She wasn't even in our row. She flashed her boarding pass, row 18, window. We were row 7. She was trying to trade a window seat 12 rows back for Lena's aisle seat near the front. "I'm sorry," I said quietly. "No, she needs the aisle." Her smile stayed, but her eyes sharpened. "Then you move," she said louder now. "I want her seat." People started looking. A guy behind us froze mid-shuffle, trapped in the aisle. An older couple across the row leaned away like they could dodge the drama. Before I could react, she slid past me and dropped into Lena's aisle seat like she'd been assigned to it. Lena startled backward, one hand grabbing the seat in front of her. Heat rushed up my neck. "Ma'am," I said, firmer now, "that's my wife's seat." She waved me off. "Just take mine, it's basically the same." Then, with a tiny laugh, "And she can sit by the window. Pregnant ladies like to rest, right?" Lena's eyes widened. Rest? Like being boxed in was a gift? "I'm actually helping," the woman announced to a nearby passenger who'd turned to watch. "Some people don't understand accommodations." She gestured at Lena's belly like it was courtroom evidence. Lena hates conflict. I heard her breathing turn short and careful. "I can't be trapped at the window. Please," she said softly. The woman leaned closer, her voice thin and sharp. "Then don't fly. If you can't handle normal travel, stay home." That sentence made my stomach drop. It wasn't just rude, it was cruel. She pulled out her phone, angled it toward Lena's stomach, and, "I'm documenting this. People fake things for perks all the time." I stepped between the camera and my wife. "Don't film her." She rolled her eyes and raised her voice again. "See? Aggressive. He's trying to intimidate a woman with a disability." A man 2 rows up muttered, "Just switch so we can go," like my wife's comfort was a speed bump. Lena whispered, "Please don't fight." And that broke something in me, because she was the one being cornered. The woman smirked and promised she'd report us if anyone touched her, like we were criminals and she was the judge. Boarding stalled, the trapped guy sighed. I felt the pressure building, like we were about to get blamed for the delay even though we were the ones standing without seats. A flight attendant finally squeezed through. "Perfect," the woman snapped. "Tell them they have to switch. I need legroom, and she's pregnant, so she should be comfortable too. Win-win." The attendant checked the row number above us, then the boarding pass. Her face stayed calm, but her tone cooled. "Ma'am, what row are you assigned to?" 18, but I have a medical need." "Please stand up and step into the aisle," the attendant cut in, still polite. For a second, I thought she'd comply. Instead, she gripped the armrests like lifeboat handles. "No, I'm not moving. They can take my seat. I already sat down." Lena's hands began to tremble, her lips pressed tight, fighting tears she didn't want strangers to see. And she was treating it all like a game. The attendant turned back to her. "Ma'am, if you refuse to move, we will stop boarding and involve the captain." The woman scoffed. "Do it. I know my rights." And that's when it clicked for me. This was never about legroom. It was about power. She smiled like she'd been waiting to hear the word captain all day. The captain didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He stood quietly, hands clasped behind his back, letting the silence stretch until it pressed against everyone's ears. Then he asked a single question that flipped the entire cabin. "Ma'am, why are you really refusing to sit in your assigned seat?" The woman straightened, clearly ready with her closing argument. "Because I have a medical condition. I need legroom. I've already explained this." Her voice carried that practiced confidence, the kind built from years of getting her way by sounding certain. The captain nodded once. "Understood." Then he turned to the flight attendant. "Did she request an accommodation at the gate?" "No, sir." "Did she request one during booking?" "No, sir." He looked back at her. "And you chose not to notify the airline ahead of time." She hesitated, just half a second, but long enough for me to notice. "Well," she said, waving a hand, "I didn't think it would be necessary. People usually cooperate." That was the crack. The captain glanced at Lena, really looked at her. Her pale face, the way she gripped the seat in front of her, trying to stay steady. His expression softened immediately. "Ma'am," he said to my wife, "are you comfortable in this seat?" Lena shook her head. "I was before." The captain exhaled slowly, then turned back to the woman. "Here's what's going to happen. "You're going to move to your assigned seat so we can finish boarding." The woman's smile snapped. "Unbelievable! So you're siding with them?" "I'm enforcing policy," the captain replied evenly. She crossed her arms. "I'm not moving." That's when the real twist came. Quiet, devastating, and completely unexpected. The captain nodded to the attendant. "Please pull up her booking history." The attendant tapped on her tablet, eyebrows lifting. Then she looked up. "Sir, this passenger declined an available extra legroom upgrade at check-in." The cabin went dead silent. "What?" the woman snapped. The attendant kept reading. "She was offered an aisle seat with extended legroom near the exit row for an additional fee. She declined." My stomach dropped, not from anger this time, but disbelief. The captain turned to her. "So you had the option, and you chose not to take it." Her face flushed red. "That's not relevant." "It's extremely relevant," he said calmly, "because it tells me this isn't about a medical need. It's about preference." She opened her mouth, then closed it. People were staring now, really staring. The man who'd told me to just switch leaned forward, interest lighting his face. Someone whispered, "Oh, wow." The captain continued, voice steady. "Ma'am, because you refused to comply after multiple requests, I'm reassigning your seat." Her eyes lit up too fast. "Finally, thank you. You'll be seated in the last row, middle seat." Her smile collapsed like a dropped plate. "What?" she shrieked. "That's unacceptable." "It's the only available seat that doesn't inconvenience other passengers," he said. "You can take it, or you can deplane." She stood there shaking, stunned, like the rules had betrayed her. "This is discrimination." "No," he said gently. "This is consequence." People started clapping. Not loud at first, then louder. Someone actually cheered. The woman spun, furious and humiliated, dragging her bag down the aisle as the cabin parted around her like water. She muttered nonstop about lawsuits, about her rights, about how she'd never fly this airline again. The flight attendant helped Lena sit back down, handed her water, asked if she needed a moment. Lena noted, tears finally spilling, this time from relief. As the woman disappeared toward the back, the captain turned to us. "I'm sorry for the stress. We'll make sure you're comfortable." After takeoff, Lena leaned her head on my shoulder and whispered, "Thank you for not letting her scare me." I looked back once, down the long aisle, and saw the woman wedged between two strangers in the last row, knees pressed tight, arms pinned, trapped in the very discomfort she'd tried to force onto someone else. And that's when it hit me. She never needed legroom. She needed control. And at 30,000 feet, she finally lost it.